Welcome back, guys. We got another project here in the orchard. This is the orchard where we're going to be donating all of our harvest to the local food bank. And the more we grow this channel, the more we can grow in this orchard. And we can grow a lot of things in this orchard, but I can't grow this channel without your help. So remember, like and subscribe and help us along on this journey. So we've got a lot of these big old apple trees that have been here for 80 years and they're still producing. They just need a little bit of nurturing. And we got some medium-sized trees, ones that were probably planted, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. This one's a Honeycrisp. We got a whole bunch of these. But what we're going to be working on today are really small trees. Alright, so these are the guys we're going to be working on. Now this is an interesting variety. This is called Bonkers. That's the name of the variety. And a couple of years back we bought, I think, 25 or so whips, the little bare root whips, the tiny little trees. We wanted to just start filling in more spots here, and a couple of these have done okay, like this one, not bad. It does need some work. We're gonna have to stake this up and clean it up some. I bought these Bonkers because they were supposed to be scab resistant, and they still have quite a bit of scab, but I don't blame the tree. I think that's because we need to do a better job of keeping our cultural controls in place and just getting these guys healthy. But even this one isn't too bad. We got a couple that have actually grown up like this a little bit. We're going to do a little work on these. These are my concerns. Most of these trees that we planted look like this. They're not doing well at all. Now, a big part of the problem that we had in here was deer. We had deer come in and they chewed these things up pretty bad, and then the weeds got in here and they kind of got buried in weeds, and we're going to try to change this. I want to give these guys a shot. We're going to do what we can to get them cleaned up and get them growing again and see if we can at least save the bulk of them. So I don't even really know what's going to come of this. You know, whenever I deal with plants like this, I talked about this in my spathiphyllum, my peace lily video, is, you know, just get them cleaned up, man. Get in here and just clean things up so you can see what you got. And you can see some of the wood chips are still here, because we did mulch these when we first planted them. But I want to get the weeds out of these things. I'm going to get just around the trunk here by hand, and then we're going to use a spade and we're going to cut some of these weeds out and make some room so that we can get some mulch in here. Now we just got to do that to all the rest of these down here, and a couple of these bigger ones that I showed you earlier down here, and I don't know if I can get them from here. If you look way out there, you see these little twigs right there. There's like 5 or 6 more over there. We're going to do the same thing to all of these. We'll be back with you in a minute. And the next thing is we got some sucker shoots here. Okay, when they grow apple trees, they graft them. They're grafted onto a rootstock, and you can see in here that graft is right there. You can see you've got a very distinct graft. So this is your rootstock, this is your scion, this is the actual apple tree. Whatever comes out of here, you have no idea what it's going to be. I'm out here for this one. Sometimes if I have to get cutting in very close to the tree trunk, I'll cut most of it with my saw and then come in with the hand pruners to finish it. That way I don't accidentally cut that with my saw and put a scar on that trunk. common practice. So we're going to get this out of here right now too. Cut that off. We'll put a new stake setup on this, I would imagine. And we're going to come right down to here where we got some decent growth. And we're going to put a cut on here. I'm going to make this cut at a little bit of an angle, because what I don't want a perfectly flat cut here, because then every time it rains the water is going to just sit on top of that cut and get in there. You want to put a little bit of an angle on it so when it gets wet the water can run off. When I'm dealing with distressed trees like this, when I make a cut, I want to see what's going on inside. Now you can see we got a couple of brown marks inside there. So at some point, a couple of years back, something got in there. But it looks like they're healed all the way around. They've compartmentalized. And so I'm okay with that. Like that, I think that'll be just fine. And we're going to do just a little bit of pruning on this guy. Not too much, I don't think, but a little bit. Like this little piece here is dead. Not doing us any good. Get that out. I don't think I like this nonsense over here. Take that. Get that dead piece out. I don't think I like this piece. Don't think I like this. I don't think I like this. Okay, so we got a couple of potential branches here. Again, this is still very young and it's not extremely healthy, but it's a good start. Guys, I'm getting too old for this. Man, if only I had a young, strong man to help me get this done. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there he is. Say hi, Gio.
Hello.
Alright, so we've gone through and we've cleaned this whole row of trees out, all just like this. A few of these needed to be restaked. We did that. The next step is we're going to give these a good shot of fertilizer. These, I went back and checked my records. We actually planted these about 3 years ago. So the roots themselves should be established by now. You know what they say, you know, the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. So I'm hoping that these guys are ready to leap. So we're going to give these a good shot of fertilizer, make sure they have everything that they need, so that hopefully next year they can really start to take off and we can start turning these into some apple trees. We've been pretty dry here. You can see this is dry. We haven't had any rain in a couple of weeks, and there's no real good signs of rain in the near future. So we're going to do a liquid fertilizer on these guys. This way they're going to get watered and they're going to get fertilized at the same time. So about halfway through this project, I realized that this is a very similar situation to my friend Adam out in Ohio. We actually went out and visited them over Labor Day weekend, and he has a similar situation. He planted a bunch of bare root trees. They'd been in the ground for a little bit. The deer came in, they ate them. He's trying to deal with that. He's got them fenced off now. He's got a pretty nice situation out there, but he's in the process of rebuilding and getting these things up and running too. So Adam, this one's for you, man. Hopefully this one helps you out. So as far as the fertilizer that we're going to use today, I know some of you guys, you might want to throw some tomatoes at me, but Miracle Grow, that's what I'm using. It's not a bad fertilizer. I know a lot of people, they have, you know, they have their qualms. Oh, Miracle Grow, this and that. I tell you, it's not a bad fertilizer. All right, now just to clear the record here, I know a lot of folks are a little iffy about Miracle Grow. You know, there's a lot of controversy, I guess you could say, about it. And like I said before, Miracle Grow is a good fertilizer. There's a lot of good fertilizers out there, and I have not made any videos about fertilizing yet, but I will. And I have a feeling that's going to be a wormhole, because I'm actually very picky about the kind of fertilizers I use in different situations. The reason I use Miracle Grow here is that I want these trees to jump. I want them to grow. I'm not worried about root production. These have been in the ground now for 3 years. They should have a relatively well-established root system. I'm certainly not worried about fruit production. These things are tiny. I want vegetative growth. And a product like Miracle-Gro that's got a lot of nitrogen in it is going to help these guys to grow. Then we can start training the structure and start turning these into real apple trees. Okay, I know a lot of folks, you know, you're with the organic thing, and that's great. I use a ton of organics. Every fertilizer has its place. I love liquid kelp. Liquid kelp has got a ton of micronutrients in it. It's got a lot of enzymes and things like that in there, which are naturally occurring. And so in a situation where I think that might be helpful, I'll use kelp. Fish emulsion. I like fish emulsion. It's a great fertilizer. Low numbers. The most nitrogen I've seen is the Alaska brand. It's 511. Only 5% nitrogen. It's going to be slower acting, but the benefit to fish emulsion is that it's going to have a lot of natural fats and amino acids in it, some phytonutrients, so it has its place. Okay, I fertilize based on what I'm looking for the plant to do. Okay, I don't swear by one fertilizer. I have every fertilizer in my toolbox, and depending on the situation, I choose which ones I want to use for that environment. And for these, I chose to use Miracle-Gro because I want them to jump and I want them to grow fast. So whenever you're working with plants, you always want to have your soil covered. Bare dirt, open dirt is not something that you want to see. It's not good for your plants, it's not good for your soil. Two things that you can use, the two best things that you can use, is a good organic mulch or a cover crop. Okay, having a cover crop on your plant, having living roots in the soil benefits your soil, or having mulch on top can also benefit your soil. So we had basically a cover crop here, all the grass and weeds that were growing up against these trees, but they were not beneficial in the fact that it was kind of smothering out these trees. So obviously we just cleaned them all out, we fertilized them, that's all done. Now we want to cover the soil. We do not want to keep the soil open and barren so that the sun is baking on it and it's drying out. And we have this beautiful aged mulch. These are wood chips out of a wood chipper, and they've been sitting for a couple of years now on the property, and you can see all that white, that's all nice beneficial fungus. These guys are already breaking down, decomposing. We're going to put a nice thick layer of these on every one of these trees, and I guarantee you one of the things that I love about wood chips is that they draw in earthworms, and earthworms of course are good for your soil, good for your plants, and I guarantee you that these things, as we get working around here, we're going to find a bunch of earthworms already in here. So we'll be kind of transplanting some earthworms in and around our apple trees as well. Always cover your soil. Nice thick layer on here. You don't want to be shy with these things. These are beautiful. I mean, they're already half composted, and one of the things that you want to do is you don't want to have them piled up too deep right against the trunk of your tree. That's one thing that I really try to avoid. So quite often when I'm doing this, it ends up looking kind of like a donut. You got a little hole right here where they're not quite against the trunk of the tree, but all the rest of the area's got a nice thick coating on here, and this tree's gonna love this. All right, so we got these trees cleaned up, cleaned out. got the weeds out of them, we got them pruned. The ones that needed it, we staked, we got them fertilized and watered, and we got them mulched. The next thing we got to deal with is keeping the deer away from them. Alright, so all we got left is keeping the deer away. I don't think I'm going to bother with putting up a bunch of fencing and all that stuff. It's just an awful lot to do that. What I'm going to do is we're going to just spray them with a deer repellent. Okay? Now, just a word to the wise. Be very careful with deer repellents on your fruit trees. A lot of deer repellents out there have got some nasty stuff in them. One of the more common ingredients is putrefied whole egg solids, or you'll find something like that on the list of ingredients. That's like rotten eggs. You don't want that on your food. You don't want that on anything that you're going to be eating. You know, rotten eggs can carry all kinds of bad bacteria, and there could be other things in there that you don't want on your edible crops. I'm not worried about these apple trees because they won't be producing apples for a long time. So for right now, we're just going to hit them with a deer repellent, and I'm not going to be concerned with it. But if you want to use deer repellent on any of your products, make sure you read the label. Make sure it is labeled for use on edible crops, because there can be stuff in there that could potentially make you sick. All right? All right. All right, guys, one more mission accomplished. Next video, harvesting all the apples that we're going to be giving to the food bank. Spoiler alert, we've already started harvesting. So, well, you'll see next week. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you want to join in this adventure, subscribe, hit the like button, you know, all that stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.